inviting them to listen. Chapter 12, The Hidden Wall. As they were exploring, they discovered a wall covered in moss. Out of curiosity, Samir decided to try to move it. Suddenly, a secret door opened leading to a dark basement. "Shall we go?" Ali asked, looking nervous. "Yes, we can't go back now," Layla replied, her eyes lighting up with the excitement of adventure. Chapter 13, The Vault of Secrets. The friends descended into the basement, and the atmosphere was much colder. Down below, they found a series of locked wooden boxes. They opened one to find old books, death certificates, and photos of a family that used to live in the house. "It seems that this family was not happy at all," Sarah whispered, examining one of the photos. Chapter 14, The Spooky Presence. As they were reading, they heard a sound coming from the dark corner of the basement. It was something moving. They froze in place, their hearts pounding. "What was that?" Samir asked, trying to shine the flashlight towards the corner. Suddenly, a huge shadow emerged, seemingly formed from the darkness itself. Red eyes stared at them intently. Chapter 15, Horror Encounters. "Go! Get out of here," the creature screamed, as if its voice came from the depths of hell. The friends ran towards the stairs, but the shadow was faster. They had to confront this creature, but how could they do that? "We have to confront it and understand what it wants," Ali suggested, as they tried to gather their courage. Chapter 16, Breaking the Cycle. Samir walked towards the shadow, speaking in a clear voice, "Why are you chasing us? What do you want?" Suddenly, the shadow began to transform into a clear image of a grieving family. "We are stuck here, looking for someone to free us. We are not evil, we are oppressed." Chapter 17, Understanding and Empathy. The friends began to realize that the ghosts did not want to hurt them, but were looking for someone to hear their story. "How can we help you?" Layla asked, her eyes filling with tears. "You must find someone to free our souls, someone who knows our true story. We need to acknowledge our suffering." Chapter 18, Searching for the Truth. The friends headed to the village library, where they began researching the family's history. They discovered that the family had been wronged by their neighbors, and that they had suffered many tragedies. Chapter 19, Breaking the Curse. After gathering information, the friends decided to return home and perform a simple ritual to acknowledge the ghost's suffering. They were nervous, but they were determined to help them. As they began the ritual, the lights began to shine in the basement, and the ghosts appeared clearly, their eyes filled with gratitude. Chapter 20, Departure. As the ritual ended, the ghosts began to dissolve into the air, leaving behind a sense of peace. "Thank you, you finally freed us," one of the ghosts whispered before disappearing. Chapter 21, Return to Life. The friends returned to their village, but they were different. They learned the importance of listening and understanding the suffering of others. They knew that some places held secrets, but they also realized that courage was not only in facing fears, but in understanding them. Chapter 22, The Consequences of Understanding. It had been weeks since the experience had ended, but the effects of that night still lingered in the minds of the friends. Each of them was trying to cope with their daily lives, but the memories of the ghosts throbbed deep within them. Layla, who had always been an avid reader, began writing a story about their experience. She hoped to tell what had happened in a way that would help others understand the suffering of others. Chapter 23, Calm Before the Storm. One night, as Layla was writing, she felt something strange. The room was dark, and the wind was howling outside. She heard faint whispers echoing in her ears, as if they were asking her for something. "Not now, please," Layla whispered, trying to ignore the voices. But she couldn't. Those ghosts needed more than just sympathy. Chapter 24, Warning Signs. Her friends were beginning to sense the whispers, too. Sarah, who was in college, began seeing shadows moving in the corners of her room. Ali, who worked at a local store, heard voices coming from the store, as if someone was calling him. "It doesn't seem like it's over yet," Samir said, sitting with his friends one evening. "Maybe we should go back again." Chapter 25, Return to the Unknown. That night, the friends decided to return to the ghost house. They were anxious, but they were determined to find out what was happening. They brought cameras and recording devices, hoping to capture something that would show them what was happening. Chapter 26, Twinkling Lights. When they arrived, the atmosphere was tense. But this time, they felt something different. The house was unusually lit, as if something was waiting for them. When they entered, they found the atmosphere more lively. The voices were clearer, as if the ghosts were talking to them directly. Chapter 27, Messages from the Other World. The friends started using their recording devices. Suddenly, they heard voices talking about pain and loss. Those ghosts were telling their stories again, but this time, there was a greater sense of danger. "We have to find out why they're here," Sarah said, looking into her friend's eyes. They seemed to be stuck in a never-ending loop. Chapter 28, The Dark Curse. They discovered that there was a curse tied to the house, one that had yet to be broken. There was a dark spirit living in the basement, devouring pure souls, preventing them from passing on to the other world. "We have to face the dark spirit," Samir said, his eyes shining with courage. "If we want to help them, we have to free them from it." Chapter 29, Facing the Darkness. The friends headed back to the basement, where it was colder and darker. They used cameras to document everything, as they advanced towards the dark being. When they arrived, they found a huge dark spirit, manifesting as a cloud of darkness. It began to scream in multiple voices, as if speaking in different tongues. "Why do you dare enter my kingdom?" the spirit screamed, as the lights faded around them. Chapter 30, Threads of Hope. But the friends were not afraid. Layla took out her notebook and began reading aloud the ghost stories they had heard. These stories spoke of pain and suffering, of families torn apart, and of souls in need of peace. "We are here to help you," Layla said, as she expressed her feelings. "You are not alone." Chapter 31, The Moment of Liberation. The dark spirit began to shrink, as if their words were affecting it. With each story they told, the spirit faded further. "You cannot save them," the spirit screamed, but the friends continued to read. Chapter 32, The New End. In a sudden moment, the dark spirit exploded in a cloud of smoke, and the other ghosts began to gather around the friends. "Thank you, you have freed us," they said in unison, before disappearing into a bright light. Chapter 33, Back to Reality. As the friends walked out of the house, they felt at peace. That experience taught them that courage is not only in facing fears, but in listening and understanding the suffering of others. Chapter 34, An Unforgettable Memory. Life returned to normal in the village, but the friends did not forget what happened. Layla completed writing her story, Sarah began studying local history, while Samir and Ali decided to create a group to visit abandoned places, but with a focus on documenting the stories of the spirits that lived there. Conclusion, Life Lessons. The story of the ghost house remains alive in their hearts, but it has transformed from a horror story to a story of hope. It taught them that shadows may be scary, but it is important to understand and help them. Whenever they passed by that house, they remembered those ghosts, but they also remembered the lessons they learned, lessons that will stay with them forever.